Welcome to the Self-Awareness and Self-Compassion Podcast, formerly known as the Full Spectrum Feeling Podcast. I'm your host, Blaise Schwaller, life coach, mom, and former tattoo artist. I help people heal their past, speak their truth, and love the lives that they're living now. Join me here every week for conversations on how to live an imperfect but fully engaged life that embraces all the feels so that you can stretch into your best life while enjoying the you that's here right now. Hey everybody. Last week we were talking about raising the bar on our expectations for ourselves. And this week I want to talk about how difficult that can be in the face of having a break. Like when we take a vacation or we take a sabbatical, we take some moments away from what we've been doing, there can be an incredible sense of overwhelm and like, oh God, what am I supposed to do now? And we feel like we owe it somehow to other people, to the world, to ourselves, to do something with that time. And I just want to give you like a big hug and say, it's okay. You don't have to do any of that. It will happen naturally when you allow yourself enough time to relax. Our bodies get spun up like we need the breaks. And I think it doesn't get talked about often enough how much there's this yin side of life as well as the yang. And it's like we kind of demean the parts of ourselves that need rest, that need a break, that need to recuperate, that need just nurturing. It's like we want to get that out of the way as quickly as possible so we can go do other stuff and produce things and be something for someone. And yet, just existing is actually really important. Recuperating, regenerating, that only happens, like that action-y part can only happen when we have a break. We can't come up with new ideas. We can't figure out how we want to live our life. We can't figure out what might even be fun or what we like until we have enough peace and rest and downtime to even allow that to exist. So part of this week is talking about how do you set a container for that kind of an experience, and what are you probably going to experience as you step into that moments of silence. Now, I've spoken to people who have gone on like silent retreats and people who have done it well and people who haven't, and there's always people in that group that cannot take it, can't do the silence, don't know how to slow down, don't really follow the rules of like not making eye contact, not talking, all of that kind of stuff. And it's made me curious to go, well, what's going on there? And my take on it is that there's just such discomfort in being. There's discomfort in not giving feedback. There's discomfort in not knowing if that's even allowed. Like we've never seen an example of it, that it's just so foreign, they can't do it. And then there's other people who are thinking, oh, thank God, I finally don't have to make eye contact and I can finally relax and release into this just rest and recuperation and not giving all the time that I've so desperately needed. And I suspect that they're also uncomfortable, but they handle it in a different way because they're more willing to shut it down and stop the action of giving and saying and speaking and all of that stuff and doing and touching and having an opinion about everything. It's funny because even our having an opinion about everything is doing stuff. But sometimes it's okay to go to that quiet place, to try to at least create a space where it's possible that we could be blank, that we could have no opinion, that we could just be present and not have our mind going and not have the fear that if our mind like slows down and isn't giving feedback that it's gone forever. I think actually a lot of us have that panic that if we actually turn off our brains, if we actually turn off what we believe has been running the whole show and makes us us, that we'll lose ourselves or that we'll never get our mind back or that we won't be the same. And part of that is correct. You won't be the same after you take a break like that. After you actually relax and let yourself calm down, you will be different. And that is okay. It's okay that it's scary. It's okay that we don't know what that might be like. It's okay that we don't know who we are without all of our stress and all of our drama and all of our thoughts. It's still worth doing. It is still worth doing. So how do we prepare to have that kind of a break Now, most of us will want to fill up that time as quickly as possible so that we don't have to think, so that we don't have to be with ourselves, so that we don't have to actually endure the break. Isn't that weird? Like, we're exhausted. We want the break, but we don't know how to endure it. And it's interesting that I even frame it in that language, because it's like not doing takes doing, because that's the only language we have. We do not have a language of being. We have a language of doing in America, and that's just what it is. I think, yeah, English has a lot of action and verbs and not a lot of existence and stillness. But that's okay. We're learning. We're starting to adopt more words, more mindfulness, more slowing down, and people are recognizing how important it is for our mental and spiritual health to nurture ourselves, to nurture that part of ourselves that requires silence. Like, how can we be creative and come up with new things or even have inspiration? How can we breathe it in if there's no space for the breath to exist? So it's things like that that can allow us to start wondering. And I think when we're in a sense of wonder, having the break might be easier. Taking the vacation. And so I have two opinions on this. I'm going to kind of go off on a jaunt. When we take a break, depending on how long it is, some of us want to go as far away as possible from our regular life. And I think, honestly, that has a huge, great quality to it, in that by removing yourself from your normal area, your normal stomping grounds, your normal routines, it can disrupt things often enough that it's easier for you to drop it all, to drop the stories, to drop the routine, to drop what you normally would be working on because it's just not available. It's not there anymore. That can be hugely, hugely helpful when you actually need a huge reset. It's why we have vacations. It's why that's a huge cultural thing, is to like get away and go spend your money and go somewhere else. Now, if you're doing it not to consume, but to just break that cycle and reset your brain, perfect. And then you can kind of take in new scents, new smells, just new things that might give your brain and your body a chance to react in a new way, to have a new thought, to discover something that you might like that you didn't even know existed. I think that kind of exposure is really important. Now, on the other hand, we have the staycation, right? Where we've taken a break, but we stay in our environment, and we do it sometimes because we're saving money or we're tired or we just can't travel or our health is doing whatever, and that is fine. Staying in our space can be more difficult if you're trying to break cycles of thought and cycles of routines. It is more difficult to create a new routine in your home environment that has nothing to do with all the other routines that you already have. Like, it's just you're trying to break everything or change everything. So I would say that that can be a harder road to travel when you're looking for a true major reset. If you have the opportunity, if you have like a major break where you're going, okay, no expectations. I'm gone. I'm out of here for 8-10 weeks. And that's months, right? I have months to reset myself. I would recommend personally, like, go somewhere, go away, get inspired, do something different. Even if you're still feeling kind of blank when you do it, even if you're still not sure why you're going where you're going, allow yourself to be in a different environment, in a different daylight experience with different culture, just different, because that will allow you to reset faster. And then as you discover things that are enjoyable about that, where you're like, oh, I kind of enjoyed that I got up later, or I enjoyed that I went out for breakfast and I tried this new thing that I never have for breakfast, but I might adopt that as a new breakfast that I want to have. I saw like different kinds of flowers or different places, and I enjoyed going for walks. I enjoyed walking and seeing things. Maybe I'll adopt that in my normal life. It gives you a chance to try things out where you understand that it's a break, it's a vacation. It doesn't have to be what you do every day. But here's the cool question, but it could be. But it could be something that you do every day. What do you really enjoy? How does it make you feel? That's a great use of taking those kinds of extended separations from your daily life and daily routine. And you can do that even on a staycation if you just decide, I'm going to go someplace I haven't gone that's nearby today. I'm going to get up at a different time than I normally do today. I do personally find it easier when I'm just not in my house because there's nothing else to do. Like, I don't have anything familiar there. So it's about creating a space where things aren't familiar and deciding what might be pleasant and then what isn't. It's also cool to be like, wow, I really hated going to that restaurant and I'll never eat that kind of food again. I'm so glad I don't. It actually makes you appreciate things more when you come back. So those are good ways to relax the body, reset the nervous system, bring ourselves back into a space where we might find we're possible to fill up. We need that fuel. So I'm going to talk some more about the importance of breaks, the importance of stopping, the importance of like the pause in between breath, and also the breathing out, the letting go, the releasing. Often when we're producing all the time, it's like we're giving everything out, but we do need to inhale and take something in. And if the only thing we're taking in is direction from others and demands from others, and everything that we're breathing out is just, to fit that demand, it's depleting and it's exhausting. And then we wonder, what are we doing it for? Do we even know ourselves? Do we even know what we want? I definitely faced that, particularly in my 30s, the wondering, what was it all for? Who am I producing this for? Is it really for them? Is it for me? If it's for neither, actually, like that hurt me a lot to realize that maybe it was for neither. Like I thought it was for other people, but they didn't really necessarily need it or want it or demand it. So then it must have been me doing it because I thought it was important, except I wasn't getting anything great out of all of this effort that I was putting in. I was just tired and I was heartbroken about that. And I thought, gosh, maybe I've really done something terrible. Like I've done something wrong and I'm broken. Thinking about it that way was not helpful, as you can imagine. Like that just made me feel like crap. When I could look at it and go, okay, so you did what everybody does. You went out and you tried to make a life and you tried to do what you thought was best. That's okay. Like that's pretty human. That's forgivable. And now I want more. Now I want to know what it's like to exist, to be creative, to be who I am, not on a desperate like bender of trying to, prove myself, prove my existence, prove my worth to everyone without trying to gain approval, but to just, enjoy or please myself. And that started out feeling extremely scary. Like, am I allowed to just do something because it pleases me? Is that selfish? Is that a waste of my life? That was a question that came up. Like, is it actually a waste of my life? And one of the best things that happened for me at that time was that there was this stray cat that was out in my yard, and I ended up forming a relationship with her and taming her and having her come live in my house with me. And eventually, like, she's my cat Mabel now. She's amazing. I've talked about her before on the podcast as well. But in that timing of that interaction where I was going, is it okay to just do things because it delights me and have no expectation that what I'm doing is going to produce money or make a product or like improve someone else's life or just be for anyone else? Am I still okay? Is it okay for me to be a human being like that? Am I causing harm? Like, am I taking away from other people? Am I making them look out for me more? Like, I had all these questions. And then I saw this cat and I just observed her life and her apparent expectation of how things go. And I went, here's this cat, and she just is being a cat. She shows up because there's food and there's pets and there's love and there happens to be a sunbeam. And if she wants to lay here, then she does. And if she doesn't want to lay here, she doesn't. If she wants me to pet her, she lets me do it. If she doesn't, then she walks away. And she's not judging herself for it. She's not producing anything for it, right? Like, she's not going out and like providing me a meal or anything, but yet I still want the interaction with her. And it made me go, there is inherent worth in just existing. Like, if I can love this creature and admire and just enjoy the time that she's here, like, honestly, it came down to me realizing, like, I just enjoy life more when this creature is around, and she does, honestly, like, almost absolutely nothing for me. She does nothing for me. She just happens to be existing with me, and that's enough. Could I be the same way? Could just me existing be enough? Could it be possible that other people, other creatures might prefer to just be kind of near me because they like me? They want to be around me. They're not trying to get anything from me. They just would rather hang out with me than without me. And it started to be true. Like, I could see this and witness it every day in this animal, that she could be anywhere else and she was full. She wasn't hungry. She wasn't trying to get anything. She didn't need a litter box. She was still outside, but she would want to be near me. And if I happened to be hanging out outside, she'd hang out near me. And then eventually she'd go off and have her adventures. If we were inside, she happened to want to be in the same room as me. And maybe, she'd move to be more comfortable or decide, hey, I want to play now or whatever. But she was choosing that. She didn't have to. And I went, wow, like we actually have that much agency in our life. Like we get to choose that much too. And I had to start really small. So I was like, okay, could I choose like what I want to eat this morning and how much I want to eat and just go back to real basics? Could I choose when is enough enough? Could I choose something different or more luxurious or more utilitarian, like just a piece of toast or whatever I want to do? And then if I decide that I want something different, can I choose that? When I decide I'm done with eating and, I've put away my dishes or not, if I want to do a drawing, is that okay? If I then throw it out, is that fine? And just noticing everywhere that I had so much judgment. And I did. I had so much judgment for myself. And I was like, dear God, no wonder I'm exhausted. No wonder I'm burnt out. Like every damn thing I do, I have a voice of judgment in my head saying that wasn't enough. It needed to be better. Why are you wasting things? Like I just felt like everything was waste. And I was like, well then, yeah, you're living in an existence where everything feels like it's a huge effort, but it's wasted. God, no wonder you're not having any fun. So I went, all right, now I have to figure out how to build a life where nothing is wasted, where I'm feeling like everything I do had a purpose. What would that be like? And it turned out it's actually really fun. I mean, it took longer than an instant. Like it's hard for me to describe in, a 20-minute podcast, this experience of deciding to build worth into my days. But I think that's part of having these breaks. Like we need the space in order to have the time to face these thoughts, face these things about ourselves, notice that they're happening, and have enough blank space and time to really deconstruct it, to make the choice again and again that I'm choosing for this to be more meaningful. I'm choosing for this interaction to just be more pleasant. I'm choosing that I get to have a choice here. I'm noticing that I'm uncomfortable and I'm still going to say, even though I'm uncomfortable, it doesn't mean that, laying in a sunbeam wasn't worth it. Like it feels nice. I'm judging myself for it, but here I am doing it. And then, the next day I could try it again and be like, actually, I'm not judging myself for it. I'm feeling pretty damn pleased with myself that I'm living a life where I can just lay in a sunbeam today. Yeah. And I'm not even talking going outside. I'm talking like laying on my floor in a sunbeam. And it delighted me. And I thought, gosh, this is how we are when we're kids. Like I could remember being small and being like, gosh, I used to be fascinated by the little dust motes in a sunbeam and how cool they were. And I was like, when did I lose that fascination and how can I bring it back? What would it be like to live a life of wonder and share that with people? And honestly, I feel like today, like this kind of thing, being able to record this podcast is a result of that. It's a result of choosing to build a life full of wonder and then saying, I'm going to share that wonder. I'm going to teach other people how to have that wonder in their life so that they can also just be happier and be okay existing. I feel like we live in a world where we've made it really freaking hard to exist. And I want to tell you, if you're listening, like you have worth. It's important that you exist. Your existence is preferred. Like there are creatures in your life, people in your life, just things in your life that prefer that you're there, you belong. And you know what? It's okay even if right now things aren't great, even if right now you're stressed, even if right now you're not enjoying it, because it's part of the journey. All of it is acceptable. All of those feelings are fine. And there's more for you. There's more joy for you. And it is something that you can cultivate and bring more and more into your life. So my friends, if you are facing a break, facing yourself on this break, I know it feels intimidating. I want to let you know that you will get through it. It's so funny to have to prepare people like, oh my God, I'm taking a break and I need to prepare for it. But we do. We joke about needing a vacation after our vacations because we're just exhausted after we've had so much time doing anything different. It takes a lot of mental capacity. It takes a lot of our energy, but it's also so worth it. It's allowing that there's this space for recalibrating your system, for allowing yourself to go into a rest and digest, to even consider that might be possible, to wonder what it might be like. And as thoughts or feelings and sensations come up that are uncomfortable, to tell yourself, and please tell yourself this, I am capable of handling this. I am uncomfortable, but I'm okay. Discomfort is okay for me because I know it's not permanent. I can handle discomfort. And on the other side, there is calm, there is certainty, there is peace. And I know that's true. Yes. So my friends, please have a wonderful week. Make space for yourself, like plan little mini vacations, plan big vacations, plan huge breaks. Take them. Don't be scared. It's going to be okay. And if you need the support, please come talk to me, work with me. I can hold your hand through the whole process and help make it easier and easier, step by step, day by day, thought by thought, so that it becomes something that you treasure, something that you look forward to rather than something that you dread. Have a fabulous week, and I will see you next time. Thanks so much for joining me. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and share it with someone you love, and leave us a review. You can learn more and get some self-compassion tips and tricks by visiting coachwithblaze.com, where you can sign up to get my free booklet on overcoming anxiety, overwhelm, exhaustion, and burnout. I'm sending you so much appreciation and love, and I'll see you next time.